For most of human history, alcohol has been treated as ordinary, not controversial, not extreme, not dangerous. It's sold in grocery stores, advertised during major sporting events, poured at celebrations, and so much more. It's not framed as a drug, it's framed as a lifestyle, and that's why we rarely stop to question it. So what is alcohol? When we say alcohol, we usually mean one specific chemical: ethanol. Ethanol is a small molecule made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It's produced through fermentation, a biological process where yeast consumes sugar and produces ethanol and carbon dioxide. Beer starts with grains. Wine starts with grapes. Spirits start with fermented plants that are later distilled. Different origins, same molecule. Ethanol is the only alcohol humans can drink without immediate poisoning. Other alcohols, like methanol, are toxic in very small amounts, but survivable does not mean beneficial. Your body does not require ethanol to survive. There is no recommended daily requirement. When ethanol enters your system, your body treats it as a foreign substance and shifts priority toward breaking it down. It is metabolized before fats, before carbohydrates, before proteins, because from a biological standpoint, it is something that needs to be cleared. Are different types of alcohol different? Beer, wine, vodka, whiskey, they look different. They taste different. They are marketed differently, but once absorbed into the bloodstream, they deliver the same active ingredient, ethanol. The only difference is concentration. A standard beer, a glass of wine, and a shot of spirits contain roughly the same amount of ethanol. Some drinks contain additional compounds, antioxidants in red wine, congeners in darker spirits, but these do not remove the core risk associated with ethanol itself. There is no version of alcohol without ethanol, and ethanol is the driver of the biological effects. What happens inside the body? Alcohol is absorbed quickly. About 20% is absorbed through the stomach, the rest through the small intestine. From there, it enters the bloodstream and reaches nearly every organ. The liver handles most of the breakdown. Ethanol is converted into acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is toxic. It can damage proteins, cells, and DNA. It is classified as a carcinogen. Acetaldehyde is converted into acetate, which can eventually be broken down further, but this process creates oxidative stress and inflammation, and the liver can only process a limited amount per hour. If you drink faster than your liver can metabolize it, blood alcohol concentration rises. Over time, repeated exposure increases risk of liver disease, pancreatitis, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, several types of cancer, including breast, liver, colorectal, and esophageal cancer. The World Health Organization has stated clearly that no level of alcohol consumption is completely safe for health. That doesn't mean every drink causes visible damage, it means risk increases along a spectrum. Alcohol also affects the immune system, making the body more vulnerable to infections. It interferes with hormone regulation, it disrupts blood sugar balance, and even moderate drinking increases the risk of certain cancers over time. These are cumulative effects, not always dramatic, but measurable. Alcohol and sleep. Many people drink to relax, to wind down. Alcohol can make you fall asleep faster, but it reduces REM sleep, the stage associated with memory consolidation and emotional regulation. It fragments sleep later in the night. Heart rate increases, body temperature shifts. You may sleep, but recovery quality drops. Over time, poor sleep compounds stress, mood instability, and metabolic dysfunction. So alcohol can feel calming in the short term, but physiologically it increases stress on the system. How alcohol affects the brain. The brain is where alcohol feels immediate. You don't notice your liver working, you notice your thoughts changing. Within minutes, alcohol starts altering neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers brain cells use to communicate. One of the main systems it affects is GABA. GABA is the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. Inhibitory simply means it slows things down. It acts like a brake. Alcohol strengthens GABA's effect. Neural activity decreases. Your internal filter softens. You feel calmer, less anxious, less self-conscious. At the same time, alcohol increases dopamine in the brain's reward pathway. Dopamine isn't exactly pleasure, it's reinforcement. It tells your brain this is worth repeating, so you get two signals at once. It also suppresses glutamate, a neurotransmitter involved in learning and memory. Glutamate helps neurons form new connections. It's essential for storing experiences. When alcohol blocks glutamate, memory formation weakens. That's how blackouts occur. You can be awake, talking, sending messages, making decisions, but your brain is not converting short-term experience into long-term memory. The system that records events is temporarily offline. With repeated heavy drinking, deeper changes can occur. Brain imaging studies show structural shrinkage in areas responsible for impulse control, planning, and emotional regulation. Reaction time slows. Decision-making becomes less precise. Risk-taking increases. Over time, the brain adapts to alcohol's presence, which means when alcohol is absent, balance feels off. Alcohol doesn't just change how you feel in the moment, it changes neural function. Alcohol and mental health. Heavy drinking is strongly linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety. In the short term, alcohol can numb difficult emotions and reduce inhibition. It can make stress feel more distant and quiet racing thoughts for a while, but over time that effect generally reverses. Because alcohol is a depressant, it can actually lower mood after it wears off and increase feelings of anxiety the next day. With regular heavy use, those low points can become more frequent and more intense. There's also a clear link between alcohol misuse and higher risk of self-harm or attempts to unalive oneself. What often starts as a way to cope can slowly make the underlying problem worse. It feels like relief at first, but in the long run, it can increase the very emotions people are trying to escape. Is alcohol ever good for you? For a long time, moderate drinking, especially red wine, was described as being good for the heart. Some early observational studies found that moderate drinkers had lower rates of type 2 diabetes, stroke, heart failure, and all-cause mortality. But those studies didn't prove that alcohol was the reason. Later analyses pointed out something important. Many of the non-drinkers in those early comparisons were actually former heavy drinkers who had stopped because of health issues. When you group those people together with lifelong non-drinkers, it changes the results. When researchers separate out lifelong abstainers and compare them properly, the supposed protective effect often becomes much smaller and sometimes disappears entirely. Researchers have also suggested that the observed cardiac benefits may be the result of residual confounding, meaning moderate drinkers often share other protective traits. They may exercise more, eat healthier diets, have higher socioeconomic status, better access to healthcare, and more stable lifestyles. Those factors alone can reduce heart disease risk independent of alcohol itself. At the same time, even low levels of alcohol are linked to increased cancer risk, including breast and colorectal cancer. Because of that, several public health organizations now state that any potential heart benefit does not outweigh the broader health risks. And importantly, if you don't drink, there is no medical recommendation to start. There isn't anything in alcohol that your body needs. Any compounds people point to, like antioxidants in red wine, can be found in other foods without the added risk. What about addiction? Not everyone who drinks becomes dependent, but alcohol has addictive potential. Repeated dopamine activation strengthens habit loops. Tolerance develops. The brain adapts. You may need more to achieve the same effect. Alcohol use disorder is characterized by loss of control, cravings, and continued use despite harm. Genetics influence vulnerability. So does early exposure, so does environment. The line between social drinking and dependency is not always obvious. It often shifts gradually. Why is alcohol legal? Alcohol has been part of a human civilization for thousands of years. It has religious significance. economic significance, cultural significance. Attempts to ban alcohol, such as prohibition in the United States, led to black markets, organized crime, and widespread illegal production. Governments shifted toward regulation rather than elimination. Alcohol generates significant tax revenue. Most people who drink do not experience immediate catastrophic consequences. Because of that, the policy response in many countries shifted toward management rather than complete removal. Governments regulate alcohol instead of banning it outright. Its legal status today reflects how deeply it has been integrated into culture and society, not its biological safety. The full picture. Alcohol is not instantly destructive in small amounts, but it isn't completely neutral either. It's a psychoactive substance that alters brain chemistry, stresses the liver, disrupts sleep, and is associated with increased cancer risk in many studies. It has also been linked to worsening mental health in some individuals. In general, the risks increase with the amount and frequency of drinking. At the same time, people respond differently. Some individuals consume small amounts without obvious short-term harm, while others are more vulnerable because of genetics, mental health, or long-term drinking patterns. The goal here isn't to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do. Research around alcohol is still evolving, and scientific understanding continues to change as new studies are published. But based on the evidence we have right now, alcohol isn't something the body requires. It's a substance most people consume for cultural or social reasons. Understanding what it does biologically simply gives you the full picture. And once you know what's happening inside the body, you can make your own decision about it. And that's the current picture of alcohol based on the research we have today. I like to make these videos because everyone likes to say different things and it can be hard to understand why. This video is to help give the full picture so you know what's actually going on and what current research says. This is also my first video, so I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it. I'm planning to improve with every upload, so if you have any feedback, I'd genuinely love to hear it in the comments. All of the studies and sources will always be in the description. And if I missed anything important, feel free to add it in the comments as well. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching.